Okay, let's do a little change here. That's totally not working. Darn. Okay. We're going to go start off with the handheld plan today. Wow. Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. As you can see, we're slow on our uptake based on getting our orientation correctly. What we're going to do today is start off with a visit to our local service center in Tysons Corner, Virginia. Based on the fact that the end of the month is approaching and we're going to be getting numbers for the quarter, I always like to get a look at what we're seeing as we drive through the service facility, which is what you see going on right now. What I'm actually going to do today is take you guys through the local service facility and see what we see. And I encourage you to take time to also look through your own local service facility, because you'll be able to determine what the deal is. So we're going to come back and you'll see these cars, but this is the second time I've been here in a couple of weeks, and there are a whole bunch of Model Ys at the front. So as you know, when we make a right here, we've gone from the new vehicles and vehicles that are being taken out for test drives, and we're now entering pretty much the service area here, obviously service bays. We now have a bunch of vehicles that are in and out from customers after being repaired, as well as test drives being done by mechanics who've gone through that vehicle. As you can see, we now have new vehicle pickup at the back of the service vehicle area. I always like to go very slowly through here so you guys can kind of see generally what's going on in terms of, kind of the number of vehicles and type of vehicles that are in service. It also gives you a feel for, the number of each type in terms of color choices of other buyers, etc. So now we're headed to the back of the building. As you can see, there's a bunch of cars that have been offloaded and that need to be sort of cleaned up once they're in. Now, as you know, for this area, the cars come in from now Texas and California via train to a place called Birmingham, Alabama. And then the semis you see in front of us will actually pick up those vehicles, and they're being delivered here. As you can see, we're primarily going Model Y happy, and I'm going to turn around here because usually we can drive down there, but the problem is that the semi is blocking our access, so I just have to make a little change, driving plan versus what you usually see from us in terms of service facilities. Now, I'd have to say, based on what you just saw, which is a huge number of vehicles, we're in a situation right now where there's a lot of inventory here. So one of the things I noticed about this facility is that they tended to, we're back obviously on the service side of the house right now and going back through this area. What I'm going to do is make a right here and then go on the other side of the building. So again, this is the service facilities, and we're seeing all the vehicles that are now in the service mode. And then we're transitioning right here to test drive vehicles as well as trade-in vehicles. And then we'll get to kind of see what's going on. Now, the objective of this drive and visit of a service facility is what analysts call a channel check. So ideally, you go to 8 or 10 different facilities. You kind of see what's going on. As you can see here, there's a huge number of Model Ys that are everywhere about us. And I'm trying to go around, and I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way through, but I am trying. So basically what we're seeing right now is a ton of Model Ys that are now sitting on the ground. The usual thing that we do is, as you know, we'll actually go through here and we have our service crew doing their thing. Wow, look at all that inventory. So our bays are looking kind of full. Like one of them was about 90%. The other one we just looked at is someplace in that 70-80% zone. So there's a lot of cars to be sold as we close out the quarter. Another sort of cleanup storage bay there we just saw. And as we discussed, you know, that those inbound vehicles you see with the trunks open are the cars that have come off the inbound trucks. So I'm avoiding sort of running into the trucks as I just did. And now I'm so what they're doing is they're taking the vehicles have come off the trucks. You guys probably already know this, but one of the problems with arriving vehicles from the train is that first 30 days after painting, because we're using aluminum, it's actually not a good idea to have the vehicles sitting out for very long until the paint has cured, because you run into some severe problems by doing so, with the potential of bird poop creating spots on those cars that might need repair of some sort, like almost, you know, probably one of them being even repainting. So looks like black or gray is our dominant color. Again, we're back to kind of looking in. Man, that's a lot of inventory, but we still have, call it 30 days. I mean, you have to leave Christmas out of there. But we got 30 days to move all that inventory. Looks like production problems are not an issue when it comes to you know, vehicles in production at the two manufacturing plants and then being shipped in. So obviously service bay is no way to get data there. You know, like I said, this is the second time I've come to a service facility. And as you can see, we have an ungodly amount of inventory that's here, particularly Model Ys that are ready to be sold. And they have so many vehicles that they're now even having to go and store them in the grass, which is pretty intense. At any rate, overall, I would say that this is I want to say it's an unknown issue, because the pattern for this service center tends to be, I'm going to switch directions here. The pattern for this service center tends to be pick up major inventory, you know, Monday through Wednesday, and then sell that inventory through the rest of like Thursday through Sunday, which is when a lot of people come and pick up their vehicles. You know, I would have to say that on one hand, you should say to yourself, your video sucks. The reason is that let's say there are 100 locations like this in the US, and then in Europe and China, there's probably another 200 at least. So how do you generate a sense of what the numbers look like when you only have one location you're looking at? Well, the answer to that is that you guys live in certain places. And what happens is that as you see what inventory and activity looks like here, there are a few questions that it makes sense to ask you. Number one, like, how big is your facility? Number two, are you showing the kind of inventory that we have here, which is ungodly numbers of Model Ys of different colors, sort of an abundance of inventory that has not been sold. Those are a couple of circumstances that we're seeing. My overall right now is that we've done this, visit this facility probably, let's call it 100 times in the last, let's say, 5 years. Over that period, I'd have to say that this is likely the highest inventory we've ever seen, meaning that the number of vehicles that are sitting on the lot ready to be sold is at its apex. You saw the semi that was delivering new vehicles just now, and so the question that comes up is, well, where are things? The answer I see right now is that they've run out of storage facilities for vehicles at this location. So the next question is, how are we doing in terms of sales of vehicles for this quarter? The answer I would come up with is, based on how much inventory I'm seeing, i.e. the highest that I've ever seen this facility have at it, I would have to argue that right now we have a lot of inventory to clear out, and I can see why Elon has chosen to cut prices to do so. Next question is, the one thing I didn't do was go into the front door to see if there's a Cybertruck here so that, you can see what the interest might be in that. The answer to that is that, people drive pickup trucks in the greater DC area, but I really think the Cybertruck is more like a Texas or where there's a lot of farmers and farming type of vehicle. And I would be stunned to see any sitting around in the Tysons corner facility. But hey, there are farms here in Maryland. There are farms way out in the Virginia area. So that's a possibility. But as we know, pickup sales, wow. So I wanted to show you guys something that's going on right now. As we were sitting here, guess what just arrived? A whole nother truck of looks like all Model Ys. Yeah. I think there's a Model 3 on the front of the truck up there. You'll see it as it pulls forward. I'm sort of sliding over here. So what you just saw is a semi come in. So let's say it's 12 cars on that vehicle that dropped it off. So I would say that we just dropped, let's call it, 3 full semis, predominantly Model Y with a few Model X's, I think, in there, along with a couple of Model 3s. So I'm like, whoa. I think that, I'm going to ask you guys a question, which is, you just saw the inventory as of today, December 13. The question that comes up is, after we have the weekend sales period, the big question is going to be, what does Monday look like? Because if we take a look at Monday and everything that's here has been sold, it shows that we're in great shape. If we take a look at Monday and nothing has been sold, it sort of infers how we're going to look when it comes to revenue/profit number for the quarter. So at this point, I have to say, let's wait and see. So there's another discussion that's going on that affects Tesla, and that is that sales are down for EVs. My argument on the EV sales drop focuses on the fact that Tesla and its charging facilities is a competitive advantage. And until this is figured out, I think the whole industry is kind of frozen in terms of sales of vehicles because people don't want to end up stuck. So that's kind of my assessment of what I see going on here. So what I'm going to do right now is finish up this show, and then I'm going to do another show at this location because I really like the backdrop of having the movement within this facility as the backdrop for the next show. And our show is going to be focused on Bill Gates and what he's doing when it comes to shorting Tesla stock and losing a bunch of money as he did so. any rate, I want to thank you for joining us for the channel check. As you can see, we've got a lot of vehicles here, but it's unknown what it means totally. If we come back Monday, Tuesday, everything's gone, then it's kind of like, oh, okay, everything's cool. We come back Monday, Tuesday, we got inventory out the butt, that's a different deal. So what I'm going to do right now is kind of switch locations so we can still get eyes on the parking lot, and we can take in things like the arrival of new cars, etc. And then what I'm going to do is our other show. So I'm going to end it right now for today. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. I will include our health tips for the day. So I wanted to note that I'm learning about better eating right now, and one of the concepts that's been shared that we're working on is something called complex carbohydrates. So one of my least favorite vegetables, I mean, I love broccoli and all that others, but cauliflower is one of my non-favorites, only because it is the taste is lacking, very dry, sucks all the moisture out of your mouth. But on the flip side of that, it's actually a great thing to have because it's extremely healthy, and we should all be eating as much of it as possible. So my recommendation today is to look up something called complex carbohydrates and see what it is. I mean, I do it because I do oatmeal every other day at least. So that's one way to address what's going on. So I want to thank you for joining us today. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, lehitro, hoda hata zdrasuje, ni hao ma, konbanwa, Japanese, heido in Swedish, arrivederci Spanish, namaste Hindi, and in Jamaica we say no respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.